What's going on YouTube? Ten Brews here, back with another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you 5 tricks and tips that helped me really level up my productions, and hopefully they can help you as well. If you're new to my channel, I make tutorials just like this. I also come out with new music every week. I make EDM, house, rap beats, remixes. So check it out. If you're feeling generous, please hit the subscribe button. Like the video, comment, let me know what you think, good or bad. Really helps me grow the channel. So anyway, intro plug aside, let's get into the video. So for showing you these tips, I have the project file of one of my remixes open. This is the End of Time Alan Walker remix that I dropped a few weeks ago. I liked it a lot. Hope you did too. It's up on my YouTube if you want to go check it out. But anyway, so the first tip I'm going to talk about is mixing, and specifically EQ and stereo imaging. So this one's kind of obvious. A lot of you probably heard of it, already work with these techniques. But really, once I kind of learned the basics, it really makes a huge difference in my opinion. So let's start with EQing. So just like some general rules. You want to cut out the bass sounds, or I mean the low frequencies of all the sounds that aren't your bass, so that it doesn't conflict with your bass. So let me show you some examples here. And I'm going to mute this vocal just so this video doesn't get taken down for copyright. We don't really need it here. So I'm just going to mute the vocal, have the beat playing. And let me go into the intro part here. Turn the volume up. So I'd say the main part of the verse is this guitar loop I'm using. Let me show you my EQ. So as you can see, I did a low cut here up to 200 hertz. I just learned that from watching tutorials. Like I'll cut everything up to 200 hertz of any sound that's not the bass usually, because that's where all your bass is going to be for the most part. And I'm using the FabFilter Pro Q3. I really love this EQ. It's very visual. A lot you can do with it, but you don't need this at all. Before, I just used to use the Logic EQ. Pretty much any stock EQ in the DAW you're using, you can do these basics with. You don't need Pro Q3 or any fancy EQ. Just my preference. So anyway, and then another thing is I'll usually cut out the highs when I'm working with a vocal of a lot of sounds, because the highs are going to be where your vocal shines, especially a female vocal, but both, male and female, to be honest. So I'm cutting out the highs and the lows here. Only the mids are playing, and that's to leave room for the bass here, and then the vocal here. So that's without any EQing, this is what it sounds like. Just turn this, hold on, let me turn the other effects off because I have a couple more. Without any EQing. As you can see, it sounds fuller without the EQ, but that's because there's no other instruments or vocals or bass. So with this, you still get the main frequencies that you want, and it doesn't conflict with anything else. So usually you just want to have these mid frequencies. Again, with any of these, like, there's no rules in music. Can't stress that enough. Like, you can do whatever you want, just do what sounds good. But kind of just, these are basic rules that I follow that usually work out good as far as mixing for me. So I was gonna say though, any sound that's not the bass or the vocal, I usually will keep the mid frequencies. Let me see if I have anything with some more in-depth EQing. Okay, and for example, another more, not really advanced, but like you can take out bad frequencies. So, and it sounds by itself, it may not seem like a lot, but if you go through and take out all the bad frequencies of every instrument, it adds up and your overall song will sound cleaner. So let me solo this. This is kind of like a synth drone sample I'm using for ambience. This is what it sounds like. And so I did a low cut to 200, and then I also cut around 230 hertz, down 10 decibels. And with the Pro Q3, an awesome thing about this EQ in particular, you can solo each band. So basically what I did is, let me play it here. I can go through, when I am holding this button, it's soloing this band. So I can go through, and if I hear like a harsh frequency or something that's over distorted, I'll find where it is. So here, it was like around here. And then I'll just bring that, I'll take that harsh frequency out by just bringing the band down. And that's what I did here. So yeah, and guys, if you have any questions, feel free, just ask me in the comments. I will respond to you. Yeah, if I'm not explaining something well or you have a question, just let me know. I'd love to answer it. All right, yeah, so EQing, just making space for each instrument and taking out harsh frequencies, and then you can boost frequencies if you think something needs more high end or more low end, something like that. Moving on, the other mixing technique would be stereo imaging. This was just huge for me. Definitely did not understand this when I first started producing. But basically, stereo imaging is making certain sounds wide, like wider in the mix, as opposed to other sounds being mono or in the center of the mix. So wide would be stereo, mono, or in the center would be mono. And so basically, by doing this, you're having some instruments wide and some in the middle. You're filling up the whole spectrum, if that makes sense. And just a rule of thumb, like usually you want your bass and low frequency sounds to be mono and in the center of the mix because it tends to sound better. And your higher frequency sounds wider. And that's what I do usually. So yeah, let me show you solo the bass here in the verse using a respace. And for stereo imaging, I use this plugin I like a lot. It's called S1 Imager from Waves. Can't remember, I think it was pretty cheap. I can't remember exactly how much it was, but it's just easy to use, in my opinion. So see right here the width, I brought it down to 0, so it's in the center. And then just to show you, if you want to widen a sound, see it's widening it, and you can hear that. And again, like some basses you may want wide, but for this one I put it in the center. And then usually you want your kick mono in the center as well. And I'm gonna unsolo it, show you another one. So back to this guitar loop. On the guitar loop, see I have the width set to 1.6, so it's nice and wide. And I usually do this stuff as I go. I try to do my EQing, my stereo imaging, a lot of my mixing as I go. I just find that this saves me time at the end. And then it also kind of makes the track sound better as I'm going, which I like. and just develops it. So that's how I work. But some people, do all their mixing at the end. They like to do that. But that's just my preference. So, yeah, number one, that was kind of a long one. But number two, and this one was just insanely huge for me. And this took me a while to get good at. But with practice, it is just awesome. And this would be adding details and transitions to your tracks. So again, these are kind of like, at first I didn't think this was like fun. I didn't really like doing it because it's kind of like, I personally just, my favorite part is making the melodies and like the main sounds, as I'm sure a lot of you are the same. But adding details and like background elements, ambience, if you will, all of it really adds up and makes your track just sound more full and more like professional. So let me show you some examples here. And lately I've been using a lot of loops for like ambience. And sometimes I'll do my own like synths and stuff like that. But let me show you here. So I would say the main element is the guitar that I was showing you earlier. But I'm going to show you some background elements and ambience that I think really make this track especially. So here's this drone sound I already showed you before. But there is more. I have this other atmosphere loop. Just a really nice texture. Fills up the mix. When the verse starts, I have this downlifter as well. Kind of bringing you down from the intro into the verse. And then I have these, I'm using these siren calls, kind of these bird call samples as well in the verse. So let me solo those, bring those in. Right there. And then hitting at the end of, let's see, the end of the second bar, and then the end of the fifth bar here. And all those combined, they add a lot in my opinion. I'm not doing a lot of mixing on them, really just cutting out lows and mids on some of them. I mean lows and highs. Adding reverb, I'm using Valhalla Room, and then I'm pretty much widening all of them. And a lot of them, they're pretty low volume, but added up, they definitely make a difference. So these are all the ambience effects. And I also have a couple more here. I have this like reverse sweep, this reverse vocal sweep. And then an exhaust from Kashmir. And yeah, and lately, I actually like doing this. It's fun. I said before that it could be kind of boring. Sometimes it is, but it's kind of fun once you get into it because, I don't know, you just find different samples or make different stuff, combine them, kind of see where it takes you. But anyway, I want to put these all together. I want to show you the actual song with them and without them. Okay, there we go. So this is the track without the ambience. So still okay, still decent, right? But then this is with. really just fill up the mix, make it sound more full, in my opinion at least. So yeah, it just really makes my tracks sound better, I think, and for a lot of producers as well, I think. So anyway, yeah, detail, transitions, background elements, ambience. That would be my second tip. Number 3, just looking at my notes here so I don't go off track. Okay, so this is a good one as well. So number 3 would be having some go-to samples or sample packs. And this is just a huge time saver for me. If you have some go-to samples, it will save you time because let me show you an example. Like, I have this clap I use a lot. I probably use it too much in my house tracks, but it speeds up the creative process for me. I'm trying to think of how to explain this. So like, if I'm spending too much time like looking for like a cool clap or like a cool hi-hat or something like that, I don't want to lose my creative energy, I guess, that I'm having. Like, that might kind of like stunt it. Sometimes I want to just throw a clap in there so I can keep working on the melody or arrangement. And then my thinking is I can always go back and change a sample after I get the main idea down. So that's why I like having some like go-to sounds to use. So for me, like this clap, let me see where it is. I know for a fact it's from the Cashmere 3-pack from Splice. I use Splice a lot for most of my samples. I also use Vengeance. Those would be like the main two probably. So usually like I can get a drop idea down pretty quickly, especially for like slap house, which is what I make a lot of, because, you know, I can throw a clap in quickly, a kick, things like that. So I can, you know, get a drop, just get it in there, so I can keep going with the arrangement. So yeah, I have a go-to, and it doesn't even have to be individual samples. Having go-to packs is huge. Like, it can take a lot of time if you're like searching through a ton of different sample packs. Like for me, I Vengeance is my go-to. Vengeance, Cashmere are my 2 go-to packs. So I'll just jump to those if I'm trying to get a sound really quickly. But sometimes I'll spend more time searching, but it's just kind of like a time saver. Mainly, I would say. And then I'm trying to think of some other examples. Like, besides a clap, I definitely have some go-to like drum fills from the Cashmere pack that I use. Like, if I want to quickly get some fills in there, just for some more background elements, percussion. And let me see, there's this one I use a lot. This one. Oh, forgot to mute the vocal there, but anyway. Yeah, and then another example for my slap house tracks, I use this Flume Respace a lot that I found on Splice. It's a Serum preset. So I can just quickly throw this in and kind of helps me start the track and get the idea going. So that would be number 3. Let's move on, guys. So number 4 would be saving some channel strip settings. And what I mean by this, I'm going to go to my mixing. So I only know how to do it in Logic, but I'm sure you could do this in pretty much any DAW. For example, so I have some settings for instruments if I want to quickly pull one up. So let me solo the sub bass and the drop. Hopefully you can hear that, I'm not sure. So I have a setting for my sub bass. These are all my saved channel strip settings. So if I go to house sub, it automatically brings up this sub bass preset in Serum, and it already has all my processing on it, like all my EQ, effects, distortion, sidechain. So it's another huge time saver. Like instead of me creating a new instrument, doing all of this EQing and adding the effects from scratch, it's already there ready to go. So I'd highly recommend, like, if there's a sound you use a lot, like save this setting, and then you can use them in other tracks. So I have a lot here. I don't use a lot of these, to be honest, but another one, I have this brass stab that I use in a lot of my house tracks. Let me just unsolo the sub bass. So since I use this sound a lot, I save this setting as well. So it goes right to the sound and then already has my processing on it. Just another huge time saver. So I'd highly recommend trying that out if you like recognize that there's a sound you really like that you use a lot and the processing is good. Just save that and you can load it up at any time. Yeah, guys. So anyway, number 5, and this is a big one. I'm not sure. This is probably an obvious one as well, but working with reference tracks. So, and this is something that I got better at over time, as I'm sure most people do. If I'm inspired by a track and I want to make something like it, I'll listen to that track a lot and try to listen to it like deeply, not just like have it playing in the background, like deeply listen to everything that's going on and what makes it good, like what you like about it. Like try to listen to the details in that track, the mixing, the effects, and you can kind of like reverse engineer how they got the track sounding like that, and then you can start making things similar if that's what you want to do, and then put your own spin on it. And not even EDM, like this helped me for rap beats a lot as well, because I make those. A lot of the time I'll just have a song that I like have on repeat, and like I really want to make something like it because I'm inspired. So I will listen to the elements and the arrangement and kind of just reverse engineer in my mind what they did, and then sure enough, like I could come up with something pretty similar. So yeah, just listening to reference tracks, having them in mind when you're making a similar track, that can really help your track sound more professional, I think. So yeah, that would be tip number 5. And yeah, hopefully guys, this wasn't too long. I just want to make this semi-quick video giving some tips here. These really helped level up my production skills. Still a work in progress, but I'd highly recommend these. Try them out. Let me know what you think. Comment down below any other big tips that made you a better producer. Or maybe comment what the one that made you that improved your production skills the most. Sorry, I can't talk. But yeah, guys. So yeah, I hope you got something out of this. Hope this helps. Let me know down in the comments. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. I will get back to you. And yeah, hope you liked the video and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.